Hi everybody. My name is Barry Rosen. I'm organizing this Remedial Measures course part 2. Some of you were with us for part 1, and it's kind of a special treat. Today's actually our first class. We give a lot of knowledge out, and if you haven't decided about signing up, hopefully you'll get a taste of the class. I'm still waiting for Pundit Samavedula to kind of join us. Although Gary Gomes is here and he may present first. Let me tell you a little bit about what's going to happen. So the class, I resent, somebody needs to mute themselves. If you're not muted, I don't know, getting some feedback in the background, but maybe, let me see. Okay, okay, I just unmuted Gary. I just muted Gary so it won't give me background noise. The class is actually going to start in a month on October 20th. That gives you a little bit of time to get ready for it. It will be 11 classes over 15 weeks. We're going to actually start do it at 4 time, on 2:30 Pacific time. We're starting a little bit early today just because we need a little extra time. The class format is going to be 45 minutes of mantra training from Pundit Samavedula. So every week we'll get the focus on a different mantra. Today, Pundit is going to all the planets and the importance of doing mantra prescription. Gary Gomes is going to be talking about mantra prescriptions and yantra and gem prescriptions, and I'm going to do a little bit with gem prescriptions and stuff. And so we'll have an hour presentation on kind of practice and case studies, and Pundit is going to focus on teaching us mantras every week. And then Andrew Foss is going to be joining us. He's not here yet, although Andrew is going to be joining us, and he's going to be doing some work from Yoga of the Planets if you have his book. And those are going to be the next 2 classes, actually, October 20th and 27th. I just need to verify the times with Andrew because we've had some last-minute juggling. And Mantra of the Planets, he's going to talk about, there's a section in his book where he talks about karakas and dashas and how to kind of pick mantras based on the karakas and the placement of the planets. And so Andrew's book is rather encyclopedic, and it's really great for him to help us understand some of the details. So Andrew's going to be joining us today to give a few-minute overview on that, and I'm hoping Jamie can get a hold of him too and make sure that he has the right entry for the organizers. Again, the first week, which is to start October 20th and 27th, Andrew Foss will be talking about the mantras for the sun and the moon, and then giving advanced, and then Andrew's going to do some of this advanced work from Yoga of the Planets. And then week 4, Gary's going to start talking about hidden remedies inside the charts, and principles to ensure remediation. Gary's been writing a book on remedies for about 10 years and is really one of our resident experts on case studies and prescriptions. So it's really actually incredible combination to have Gary with us, and also Punditji, who's going to actually teach us mantras with proper pronunciation, and is, obviously has this incredible background in material. We are going to have a couple weeks on gems and gem prescriptions. In fact, gems are kind of, to me, gems are a little bit tricky, and we need to do some case study work on them. Gems are very expensive, and so I personally only recommend gems when people have like a debilitated ascendant lord, and the gem is particularly good for them, and they need it, because it will help their health and their confidence their entire life. But we can use gem elixirs, and that's something that is costs about $20, and they actually can be just as effective for short-term remedies. So we're going to go into that weeks 5 and 6, every week we'll do a different planet. Week 8 we'll have Saturn, and then I'm actually going to do a lesson on non-traditional remedies for non-Vedic chart clients. Sometimes we get people who aren't into mantras, and so it's important for us to kind of come up with different remedies that we can give them. So we're going to do a presentation in December on that, which includes things like anything from Bach flower remedies to karaka remedies to yoga postures and to behavioral rasayanas and things like that. Gary's also going to do some work on yantras later in the course, and we also have some more advanced work. So it's actually the course is actually turning into quite a wonderful influence, and the classes, the cost of the course is going to be $295. We have an early bird registration, which will send you, which is $249 if you sign up within the next couple of weeks, and I'm hoping that you'll take this rare course with all these incredible experts with us. I'm still, Pundit Samavedula is still not here, although Andrew is here. So I may ask, usually I start with some chanting, and usually I would ask Punditji to chant, but he's somehow delayed. So I'm going to start with some chanting. Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Ganapatiye Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya, Surya Koti Samabraha, Nirvigyam Kurame Deva, Sarvakareshi Sarvada, Dhyana Moolam Guru Murti, Puja Moolam Guru Padam, Mantra Moolam Guru Vakyam, Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karvavahai, Tejasvina Vatitamastu, Mahavidishai Vahai, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Aditaye Samaye Mangale Buddhaye Cha Guru Shukra Shani Bischa Rahuve Ketave Namaha. Honoring Lord Krishna, on Goddess of Wisdom, Vedavyasa, cognizer of the Vedas, and my holy tradition going back to Brahmananda Saraswati. So I'm going to probably turn this over to Gary, who's going to get, and we were having some technical difficulties. I'm hoping that Gary is going to be able to get on the line easily. So let me see if I can get Gary, you there? Let me see if I can make you the presenter. Let's see. So Gary, I just turned it over to you to make you the presenter. Can you? I'm not getting audio from you. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I know you've got the right ID, so I'm not sure what the problem is. So the wonders of technical knowledge here. Gary, okay, I'm going to probably go over to Andrew then. If maybe Punditji's here now. Let's see.
I think we just lost Andrew Barry, so he might be just trying to sign back in.
Okay.
If you could bear with us just a bit, and I'm still trying to get Pundit.
Yeah, I called him and told him to use the new entry, and he said he had it, but I don't know if he did end up using it.
Okay. You can use the old one, and we can still make him presenters. So
in the webinar, the settings are such that you can't make people presenters when it's a preview. So okay.
Hi.
Gary, we got you.
Yeah. No, I had some people just come into my store, so I had to go up front. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So we all know what our multiple lives are as Jyotishis.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you start the presentation on the material that I guess, that we talked about, and then at some point leave about 40 minutes for Punditji and about 15 minutes for Andrew. And Andrew seems to have had to get off. So we'll see. But it's all yours, Gary. You've got the screen, so I'm off.
Okay. All right. Well, basically, I'm a little bit underprepared. I apologize because I wasn't expecting to be doing this. But basically, we're going to be talking about planetary mantras and how to use them. Essentially, there are two very solid things about planetary mantras in terms of remediation. Number one, there's an axiom that most Vedic astrologers work under and most Jyotishis work under, and that is that basically if you have a planetary mantra is basically harmless. It can't really hurt you, and essentially planets. Right? She wants to get these. Planets are enjoined not to hurt anybody who praises them. The second thing of it is there are a large variety of planetary mantras. Some range from very simple pronunciation to very complicated pronunciations, but there are such a wide array of them that you can actually find something which will fit your purposes. Excuse me for about 5 minutes.
Gary, would it be helpful for me to turn it over for Andrew? Because I know we have somehow got a little bit out of order here. Would that be helpful?
I think that'd be a good idea, Barry. Let's just go with that, and I'll see. I'm still trying to grab the pundit.
Andrew, I'm going to make you the presenter now. I'm sorry that we've kind of got a little bit out of order presentation today, and I know you did prepare some slides on the material that you're going to be talking on in a couple of weeks. Andrew, are you ready?
Just a moment.
We've got a lot of Saturn energy today.
Well, it's moon's in Vrishchika and the Mars in Ketu almost exactly conjunct. So, is this working?
I can hear you, and I've made you the presenter, so we just need to see your slides.
Can you see it? Oh, screen sharing is paused. Okay.
You have to hit screen sharing, which is the
I don't know what it's doing.
it's usually okay, we got it. I can see the slideshow.
It's all paused again.
I'm okay with it. I can see your slideshow.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, good. Is it working?
Yeah, it's working. It's working, Andrew. You go ahead. You're fine. I'm actually going to mute myself so you can just talk now, okay?
You
Can you
don't
hear
see
me?
any sort of funny flashing thing on your end.
Oh, I'm not seeing anything funny flashing.
It just looks normal.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good. Well, very glad to speak to everybody. And this is, I think, I don't know how long I have, but I think it's just a few minutes. So I'm going to give you some core concepts behind the Graha mantras, the mantras for the planets. And you're probably familiar with the fact that I wrote a book, The Yoga of the Planets, 1,000 mantras for the planets. So let's see what the basis of the concept is. So first thing we need to understand is just the basic idea of the zodiac. So if one studies Parashara's famous book, Brihadarashara Hora Shastra, which is really the essence or the fundamental book of Jyotish, you'll find right at the beginning, when he just starts to teach Jyotish, the beginning of chapter, the practical details of Jyotish, the first thing he does is define the zodiac. He mentions that the planets are seen moving, and then he says the nakshatras are fixed. Then he says, and I've got the Sanskrit here for you, that there are 27 nakshatras, and they start from Ashwini. So he's very clearly defined the zodiac. So, that removes a lot of confusions that you find here and there. Of course, for certain dashas, they're related to certain nakshatras, some related to Kritika, some Pusha, and so forth. But as far as the zodiac, which we're going to use for natal astrology is concerned, then it starts from Ashwini. And then he says Tad, which means this nakshatra-based zodiac, is then divided into 12 equal parts. So the people who want to have 13 signs and all that, it doesn't apply to this Vedic astrology. There's 12 equal parts, and they start from Aries. So what he's done is he's taken the zodiac of the fixed stars, the 27 nakshatras, and then dividing it up. So the beginning of Ashwini is the beginning of Aries and all that. So it's just, there's no confusion about that. It's completely clear. And he's showing immediately the very key connection between the 27 nakshatras and the 12 signs. Now, the nakshatras are defined by the daily movement of the moon. The early man must have noticed every day, or every night rather, you look up in the sky and the moon is with a different group of stars. So of course we have the idea of the moon's 27 wives. That story of the moon having. So each night he's with a different wife. And then, so each day or each nakshatra is kind of related to a day. And then we all know the day is naturally divided into 4 parts. Starting at sunrise, then we have sunrise to midday, midday to sunset, sunset to midnight, midnight to sunrise again. And so this is the sort of natural division. And then each part of that 24 hours approximately is for basically different things. We do different things from sunrise to moon than we do from sunset to midnight. It's a different purpose of our life really at that time. So this gives rise to the Purusharthas, the 4 purposes of life. And they were given to the nakshatras by dividing each one into 4. So every nakshatra has a sequence of 4, what we call padas or quarters, which are related to these arthas.
Hey, Andrew, sorry to interrupt, but we can only see the first slide. So if you're showing a different slide.
Oh, I'm on to slide number 3 now.
Yeah,
okay.
Now I'm also here. Namaste to everyone.
Oh, thank you, Pundit. Welcome. I don't know if you want to try to click on maybe your 3rd slide again, Andrew, or for some reason it's not showing on our end.
Can you see it now?
No, we're still just seeing the yoga of the planets, your first introductory slide. Ah, the planets are messing with us today.
Yeah, just a minute.
They're having their fun. Thank you. Okay, now I see Pada and Navamsha.
All right, so I'll just go back quickly.
Thank you.
Sorry. Good, so let's just go back to this slide. Can you see that, the slide, zodiac slide?
Yes.
Good, good, okay. So I've been through this concept, but I just wanted you to see the slide because the way Maharshi Parashara explains about the zodiac is extremely clear. There's no ambiguity at all. There's no real room for any confused interpretations. It's completely clear. And this is mentioned immediately when he starts teaching the basics of Jyotish. So there's no, he just wants to be absolutely clear with all the students what is the basis of Jyotish. So if we go on, you see the basic concept is the 27 nakshatras and the 12 signs. We start with the 27 nakshatras, then we divide them into these 12 signs. We divide the mandala of the 27 nakshatras into 12 signs. And when we do that, we generate something very important. But the first thing to understand is that each nakshatra is naturally divided into 4, just like the day is divided into 4. So the core number for padas or nakshatras is 4. Now 27 times 4 is 108, and 12 times 9 is 108. Since we've said that the nakshatras form the zodiac, and we're dividing each one into 4, then we find that we have in fact divided each sign into 9. This just happens naturally. And then we call the pada, in the context of the signs, we call it Navamsha because it's 1/9 of the sign. So there's 27 times 4 equals 12 times 9 equals 108. This is the core of Jyotish. The whole of Jyotish kind of emerges from this basic concept. 108 becomes a defining number, not only of Jyotish, but life itself. And therefore, the ancients, they referred to 108 as Shri, the source of all the fortune and prosperity. And so when they wanted to honor God in his male or female forms, they would have lists of mantras with 108 mantras in each list. I mean, there are some other lists, there are 1,000 mantra lists, but the core lists are 108. And whenever there's a list of 108, we know it's connected in some way to the zodiac, because this is the core number of the zodiac. Now, if you consider it, what's happened is the nakshatras have got associated with 4, and the signs have got associated with 9. And what we find is that 4 is the number of the mother, and 9 is the number of the father. This is just basic Jyotish. Of course, Parashara explains it like that. And then we find that the Vidya, the core knowledge, is found in the 4th house. The Guru and the Dharma is found, and the father is found at the 9th house. The mother is in the 4th house. The 4th is the mind, and therefore the moon indicates the mind. The moon rules the nakshatras, of course. This is all coming automatically from this basic idea. And so this is the place of the Shakti. 9 is the place of Shiva, the sky father. and he represents strength and intelligence. It's the meaning of Shiva. Then we find the angles, the kendras are connected. Of course, the fourth is a kendra, core kendra, and the 9 is the leader of the konas or trines. And the whole interaction between the angles and the trines is what makes what we call Raja Yoga. So we see the whole of Jyotish beginning to emerge out of these core concepts. So all of the gods, the goddesses, the grahas, the planets, they all have sets of 108 names. 1 second. So in the texts, we find these lists of 108 names. And these names can be very simply converted into mantras and can be used for many key purposes. People will chant them for spiritual purposes. There's always a spiritual purpose. You can't not have a spiritual purpose, but they're also used for remedial purposes, because when you recite the names of a particular god or a planet, it has a strengthening and healing effect. And this helps us get over our karmas, our problems, whatever they are, that are related to that planet. So it's the job of the astrologer to find out which planets need to be remediated. And then we have these sets of mantras which will help us do that. So the core of Jyotish is we have the zodiac, and then we have the planets. This is what Parasha says right at the beginning. The planets are that which moves, and the nakshatras are stationary, fixed. So we call them the Navagraha. Graha means grasping. And this consists of the lords of the weekdays, which are all the objects, the shining objects in the sky that we can see moving, plus the 2 lunar nodes where the eclipses take place, Rahu and Ketu. This you all know, but we must understand the incredible importance of Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology. So because of their importance, they are given a place with the other 7, and that gives us the 9. And then each one of these 9 has their set of 108 mantras. So this is just the cover of my little book. Not so small, I guess, more than 500 pages. And what I've done is I've given these mantras, I've edited them properly, because you find these lists on the internet and it's a bit of a mishmash. I had to go through, I found as close to the original sources as were available in India. And then because there were some variations, I spent a lot of time sorting out the lists just to get rid of the small problems here and there. And then for each mantra, I've put not only the Sanskrit and the transliteration, but a translation and some kind of a commentary, so you can really understand, because the meanings of these things, these mantras, is incredibly deep. Such a depth of knowledge and powerful application of consciousness in every mantra. So even when you have a mantra that appears to be maybe a little frightening, maybe it's a mantra for Rahu or something, but if you study it, you'll find that there's something very profound inside of it. And then when you start looking at charts, because we can apply these mantras to charts, and you start to understand that it's not like a total disaster. People can have great capabilities because of that particular power. See, each Navamsha or Pada of the zodiac has a particular power, and these powers are reflected in these mantras. So really the study of the mantras is the study of the progression of the zodiac. And the zodiac can be studied either from the beginning, which, as Parashara says, is the beginning of Ashwini, which is kind of like the God's view. come to that in a second. See, the view from the beginning of the zodiac is kind of the view from God's point of view. It's like what we call the Kala Purusha, where Aries is the first house or the head, and so on. So we can study it like that, or we can study it from various other viewpoints, like the position of the sun, or the position of the moon, or the ascendant. So we're going to go into that in later classes. But basically, I wanted to give a sort of fundamental idea of what is the purpose of these things. It's definitely valuable from a meditation point of view. You can meditate on these mantras, and it'll help you go very deep into understanding yourself or other people and the zodiac as a whole. Hopefully the stories I put in the book, people say they find them entertaining. You can definitely get personal insights. I mean, my colleagues have told me that they found things in charts using the mantras that they couldn't have got from any regular Jyotish, which is very interesting. And hopefully it's very easy to read and understand. It's not a technical book. So we can understand more about ourselves. We can understand more about other people. We can develop our consciousness. We can understand more about Vedic astrology. And then we can use them for remedial purposes. So just reading through the mantras, or even just the translation of the text, it has a soothing effect. There's a sort of genius behind these mantras. It's very extraordinary how whoever came up with them, I mean, some kind of remarkable consciousness, the precise nature of the mantras, how they apply to particular energies that we find in the chart. So you can use them for meditation, contemplation, and understanding and overcoming difficulties. Now, the purpose of this class is to look into the whole question of remedial measures. And one has to understand what one's doing. You see, why do you have a problem? People only come to the astrologer because they have a problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't come, would they? So why are they having the problem? They're having the problem because there is some karma fructifying. You know, we all have a large baggage of karmas from the past, mistakes we've made and things we've done. And when we do something, then the ripples, the effect of it ripples out into the universe, and it bounces back. Little bits of it bounce back from close by, from far away, from very far away, and they keep on coming back. So it's very important not to put out negative energies. But if we have to deal with negative energies bouncing back on us because somehow we don't remember how we did it, but somehow we did something to disturb somebody, and now somebody's disturbing us. So the question is, how do we overcome this difficulty? Obviously, the karma has to be processed in some way. You know, we've created it, it's there. You know, it's like the bank manager is saying, okay, you borrowed this money, now you should be paying it back. Now we've forgotten we had the loan, but okay, we have the loan. So somehow we have to make some negotiation with the bank manager. We're going to either pay the loan, or if we don't have the money, we're going to negotiate some kind of rollover or something. Whatever it is, there's some process. Maybe we can persuade him to forgive some of the loan. So there's this kind of negotiation process. And in order to get the bank manager to cooperate with what we want, we obviously have to be nice to him, you know, or her. You know, I mean, you have to find ways of being very diplomatic, say all the right things. So this idea of sort of praying for assistance is the critical factor. We can't cheat karma. You can't do some clever thing, throw some coconut, this, that, thinking that God will be somehow cheated. The laws of nature are not going to be cheated. The only way you can ever get any benefit is through some very, a gentleness of heart. If the heart becomes gentle and we're kind of humble, we can say, in front of the divine law, then there's some possibility of the adjustment of the terms of the loan and all these things could happen. We can't think we're going to be clever. It's not going to happen. You know, it's not just a matter of pay off somebody, you know. If we owe something, we are going to have to bear that in some way. So it may be that, like, if we do employ someone to do a puja for us or something, then we're taking money that we earn through hard labor, hopefully, presumably, we worked hard for it, and we're giving it. So we are sacrificing. We shouldn't rule it out. If what we give is not really worth anything to us, it's like a nothing, then there'll be no benefit, you know, unless that person we give it to feels extremely grateful, in which case their good qualities will help us out, you know, along with all their wisdom and expertise, you know, but they have to genuinely feel appreciative of whatever we've given them. See, it's because it's really the function of the heart that makes the difference. So this is the core concept. And all these mantras, you can't do a mantra without really doing it from the heart. There has to be some feeling. It's a bhava, you know, a kind of a feeling. Bhava means feeling. So there's a bhava behind the offering of the mantra, nama, we say. So nama, we're bowing down, we're putting head on the floor, we're asking for help. It's very important that, you know, there's a clear understanding of that, because if we put a feeling into or we have some intention like that when we're doing the mantra, then it'll be effective. It'll have a real effect. It's not just a matter of repeating mindlessly or getting it done quickly. It's not going to work. Okay, so I just say that so it's clear. All right. So basically, we can see that there is this integration of the Nakshatra Mandala and the Rashi Mandala. And this is really the basis of the whole Jyotish, especially things like the Vimshotri Dasha. In my book, I get into the whole Vimshotri Dasha at the end, and really what is the core of it, you know, some real secrets about how we can interpret the Vimshotri, some things which have never really come out before. And it's all rooted in this integration. So like I said, I mean, there are two views. There's this view of the, what we could call God's view, this Kala Purusha view, which is basically studying the positions of the planets with reference to the beginning of the zodiac. You know, you have the position in the sign and the degrees in the sign of the planets. You can calculate its Navamsha. Then you can count from the beginning of Aries, 9 Navamshas for Aries, 9 Navamshas for Taurus, and so on. And you'll get to your planet and it'll give you a number. And that number of the mantra will give you the mantra for that planet. This works extremely well. It's totally brilliant, actually. And I discussed that last time. We'll say a little bit about it. But we want to explore more in terms of the counts from various more personal points, like the Lagna, the ascendant, and the moon. So that's the plan for these upcoming lessons. I probably had my time for today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. That was great. Yeah, we actually had a little extra time because of the way things have gotten reorganized. But if you want 5 more minutes to talk a little bit more, you know, we could do that. Do you have anything more that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so this is a table from my book, and it just shows you. You see, in the top corner you have Aries, and the first 3 degrees 20 of the sign. So that's the first Navamsha, and it's number 1. And then you see in the bottom right-hand corner, you find the last Navamsha of Pisces, 108. So if you know the position of your planet, you can look up the number immediately. This is on page 7 of the book. So once you've got the numbers, and if you have my software, it also gives the numbers. You see, this is the President Obama's chart. And against each of the planets, it gives the number. So you could look up in the book 92 in the Ketu, and you would find out whatever it is. And similarly for all these other ones. And I have a slide with this done. So here are these different mantras for the different planets with reference to the exact positions in the chart. Now I should make it clear that just because he has, say, his sun is number 33, that doesn't mean that the only mantra in the sun set of any use to him is 33. No, because let's face it, the sun's moving through all of the navamshas every year. So the transiting sun has a different position. And then in any way, all of the mantras of the sun are of great value. It's a fantastic thing to just go through them as a whole, and you'll see certain sequences that arise in them. It's very interesting, in fact. But if we look at his particular sun for when he was born, we see it's Om Viraya Namah, vital and strong. Then his moon, Om Vikartananujaya Namah, near and dear to the sun. Now this is obviously important because when he became president, he was in a sub-period of the moon. And as you can see, his moon is exalted in Taurus in the 5th house. It's fantastic. I mean, you don't need to be a great astrologer to see when you look at this, that something great has to happen for him in the Jupiter moon sub-period. It's not only the 5th house from the ascendant, it's the 5th house from Jupiter. And he rose to the highest position in the United States. So this mantra, near and dear to the sun, is obviously something very profound because the sun is the cosmic government. So you've risen to some very high position. But it's also interesting to look at Venus, this one, because he became, for the first time on the federal level, became the senator for Illinois during Jupiter Venus. Om Bhuvanadhyakshaya Namah. And it literally means presiding over the earth. So it's quite striking. I mean, you look at these things and you think it can't be a coincidence. You know, it's really amazing. In fact, all of these things are really quite beautiful. You know, take Rahu. Now, you know, Rahu is, most people get a little frightened of Rahu and all that. And when you say Om Shyamatmane Namah, like a beautiful dark cloud, that's how I've translated it here. In the book, I've discussed this a bit. I mean, each one of these has a discussion because there's a lot more to the meaning of the mantra than the little few words, you know, I've given here. But this, you know, the Atman is the soul, is the essence of the person. Shyama. Shyama is, of course, a name of Lord Krishna. So even though it means like a dark cloud, and we might be thinking of some hurricane coming, but in fact, it's also perfectly valid to think of, I mean, this is how people describe Lord Krishna, like a dark cloud in a way, Shyama. It's something extremely beautiful. You know, it's like the essence of creation, because we know that, you know, if you go deep into creation, it's got this kind of extraordinary power. And it's not for nothing that the Lord Vishnu is said to be Shyama, and he's wearing this beautiful yellow garment. It's all symbolic of that cosmic power. And then you see Ketu is 92. So again, Ketu, I mean, when you go through Ketu, you get all kinds of amazing mantras, you know, and some of them you may think, oh dear, what is that? See? But here, Om Shubha Shubha Pradaya Namah. So he's giving Shubha, which means auspicious results. He's giving Ashubha, which means inauspicious results. In other words, Ketu can give any kind of results in this particular position. So it's something very interesting, really, about what is this actually trying to convey. You know, what is the real import of this? Obviously, you know, Ketu is I mean, I don't want to get into all the politics and all that, but it's very interesting, the whole thing. You see, Ketu in the second house. So, but it's, I would say this is not this is a very interesting and inherently positive mantra. But it could be that during subperiods of Ketu, some mixed results have come about. It could happen. So then we can see look at Mars. You see, Mars is another, it's interesting looking at the malefics, because the malefics are the ones that, we're generally frightened of. And Mars particularly, he can get angry and he can stab you and all sorts of things can go on. But the mood depends on where he's sitting. So for example, you see, in this chart, it's so important. Mars is the Atmakaraka. It's with Rahu. It's in Leo, in the 8th house. So people looked at this. I remember when Obama was first elected, I was hearing astrologers getting extremely upset and concerned about this Mars Rahu, calculating how bad things were going to happen to him and all this. But if you look at it, nothing bad about it at all. It's actually fantastic. There's lots of Jyotish reasons why it's fantastic, but if we look at the actual mantras, I mean, look at that mantra for Mars. Daya Saraya Namah. Om Daya Saraya Namah. It's hard to be, it's so beautiful. So beautiful. It's really very much like he is. Definitely firm, extremely compassionate. It's something beautiful. So this is basically how you can study a particular chart. And we can, in other sessions, we'll go into the transits and other advanced things. Let's see what else I've got here. Yes, here there's just, this is the set of mantras here, and this was the dashas, Vimshrotri dashas, showing the different things that happen. This obviously got married during Shukra here, Rahu Shukra. And then when Jupiter came about, he started, really going places, basically. In fact, even though he was re-elected at the beginning of Shani, the main time when he was powerful politically was during Jupiter. It's to see the Jupiter mantra. It's a very beautiful mantra. It's a very positive energy. And he didn't really have any setbacks. He had a lot of people being mean to him, but when it came to elections, he was generally winning.
Hey, Andrew. Thank you for that presentation. Punditji is here, and so I want to turn over the podium to Punditji.
Lovely.
And so thank you, Andrew. I'm going to mute you, and then I'm going to think. Let's see. I've got to. So actually, Punditji signed in as Jamie, but I think I have Punditji here. Punditji, are you there? Punditji, you there?
Try one more time. Punditji?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Okay. Can
I'm
you?
here.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which Jamie. Okay, let me. I'm not sure
I
who.
I already sent my slides to Jamie so she can play for it. Few of them. First one.
Okay, Jamie. So actually, I've got them.
Or I should do it mine.
Well, if you can, yeah, you got it. You're good. Okay, we're good.
Okay, not this one. Sorry. Too many slides open here. One second.
I've got it up too, but
No, I will open it up mine. So I had a little trouble to get in first. So okay, can you see this?
yes, we're good.
Okay. Namaste to everyone. Om Adityaya च सोमाय मंगलाय बुधाय च गुरु शुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राहवे केतवे नमः गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणपतये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा. As remedies about Andrew was talking about some mantras, and in the beginning, before Andrew, I heard Barry was speaking, and after I didn't hear anything. But anyway, as today's overall overview chart, overview class for the upcoming lessons about the remedies, and which is we did in the past. So in this remedies classes, we will be learning about all grahas and their qualities and how we can take care of those grahas related in the chart. If you need to strengthen, or if it's a malefic or benefic, according to the chart, how to take care of those planets, and what are those mantras. Few mantras will be, of course, given, and we will learn about those techniques. But before we go into the remedies, one should understand the importance of the planets in our life, as every planet plays its own role, and whenever the planets transits from one to other, and especially dasha sandhis, in those times, is you might one might have a struggle or some issues with the chart, and might experience some difficulties in life. At that time, remedies are very important. For example, we talk about sun. Sun can be for career, or sun can be for health also. And there are different suns are there. Dvadashadityas are there, 12 Adityas. So when we do the Graha Shanti remedy, we do the remedies for not only Sun, Surya, Graha, we work with the Devatas also, those Dvadash Adityas. And those Dvadash Adityas are, they talk in the chanting, the mantras called Aruna Prashna. Aruna is it's a Saura, or it's all Surya mantras, especially. There are 132 mantras in that chant. It's a very powerful, and it helps on mainly the mantra Hrudrogam Mama Surya means the Hrudrogam, the diseases in our human physiology. Anything can be taken care by sun, because there is a saying in Sanskrit, Arogyam Bhaskara Dichet. So means Arogyam means the health, and Bhaskara means one of the another name for Surya. There is also mantra also Om Bhaskaraya Namaha. Or earlier Andrew was saying about Om Viryaya Namaha. All these mantras are for sun. There are different mantras for sun are there, which we will be learning during the course of the whole lesson. But when we do the sadhana for Navagraha, there are different mantras, bija mantras are there, and Vedic mantras, Purana mantras, Vyasa mantra are there. As Vyasa mantra means there is no swara. Basically, it's a shloka like Japa Kusuma Sankasam Kashyapeyam Mahajyatim Tamorim Sarvapapagnam Pranatosmi Divakaram. That's the Purana mantra or Vyasa mantra, Vyasa Prokta we call it. So this way we will learn these mantras and we will go into each graha and their qualities. Like we will talk, I'm just going through the slides, but we will be talking at that time in the actual lessons time. So what is the sun related with metals, and what is the grain for the sun, and what we can do with the grains, and the gemstone for the sun, and the devata and pratyadhi devatas for sun we will be talking, and then mantras as well. We will be talking about few mantras, and I will be adding some other mantras as well. As you know, this presentation, these slides are my previous talks, but I prepared for this some other few mantras as well. So we'll be adding some suktas into it, because in Rig Veda there is a each graha has a different suktas. Like a Surya has a Surya sukta, Chandra has a Chandra sukta. So even that they have a rishis and chandas and meter. So those suktas are more powerful. And normally when we do the graha shanti, graha related remedies, we always ask people to chant as much as they can, even though they're asking priests to do it. And as earlier, I was listening when Andrew was speaking about mantra, you're supposed to know what you are doing and feel. And that is very, very important. As you know, for example, you're doing a puja, and there is a mantra is called avahanam. Avahanam means invitation. So you must feel you are inviting that God through that mantra, and they're coming in front of you. That kind of a feeling you have to feel when you're doing a puja or when you're doing a remedy. So that is the what we do, especially when we do the remedies. We, not mechanically just chant, but we ask who were participating in the remedy, and the priest also, the Pundit also, both has to do the same manner, so that and the remedies works good. For example, when somebody is doing a remedy or yajna from distance, so the person who is getting the remedy, they need to involve themselves by chanting the mantra, because all this mantra energy and remedies, most important thing, it works with their punya bala in the chart also. If punya bala is not strong enough, at least 50% of punya bala has to be there in order to give the results by the remedies. Many people say, oh, I'm doing 3 hours chanting a day, but I'm not getting the benefit out of it. Maybe their punya bala is low, so they need to increase the time what they're spending on the chanting, so definitely they can see the result. As you know, the dosage of the medication you increase when it's not enough. So same way, the time of the chant has to be increased. Sometimes when we do graha shantis, for each graha, each planet, there is a sun, sun, moon, Mars, all 9 planets together, 120,000 recitations. And then Adhidevata, Pratyadevata recitations. So all these things comes, but sometimes we ask a person to do different cycles of the graha shantis, means sun, if it is in a very low degree and it's not giving strength to the chart, so and if Astakavarga bindus are not strong enough. So to increase that strength, what we could do is we increase the number of chants. That means instead of doing 7,000 recitations, we do either 14 or 21 or like, 3 cycles. Like each cycle is like each graha shanti, each graha cycle. Like a sun is a 10, sun 7, moon is 10, Mars is 7. So all this kind of a thing. So we always ask people to do the mantra. We give bija mantra. So the remedy, these are the things we will learn. What are the mantras? While as an astrologer, you should give to your client while they are getting remedy, and how they can get most benefit out of it. We will be learning during the course of for all the navagrahas and um, you know I will give suktas to everyone for listen, but learning the suktas, it's in Rigveda suktas, it's a proper training needed, and it's not impossible, but in the in this kind of an courses, teaching suktas and pronunciation of the mantras, like it's especially sukta mantras are not so easy, but we will learn definitely different mantras. And other thing is, and then at the same time, when you do we will learn how to do these mantras. The sadhana also important, and what is the practice while they are doing these remedies, how they're supposed to, what are the things they need to participate. Basically, grahas, when grahas plays a big role in our life. So especially graha shanti, many people think, oh, grahas just a small graha shanti. No, but graha shanti is the most important shanti in life, because at the birth time, many people just do the only small homa. But as an Vedic Pundit, I do recommend every newborn child should get 3 things. One is the all graha shanti, and Mrutyunjaya, like 125,000 times Mrutyunjaya japa, to releases the karmic negativity, anything comes from the past life. And nakshatra shanti. Nakshatra is that which they born in the moon constellation. That is very important too. So that is the reason we recommend those. So those are very important. As an astrologer, everybody should learn about these things. If somebody is a newborn child, we should be able to recommend this to do the shantis, and not necessarily you order through a priest, but you can do yourself. And actually, the remedies, talking about remedies in an advanced level, from the mother's womb onwards, there are remedies. From the 7th month onwards, we do specific remedies to have the child to take birth properly, and no complications to come. And all these remedies also we will be talking up in the course, of upcoming courses. And another thing which we will learn about some pronunciation. Definitely, I want to teach some Devata mantras also, along with the Graha mantras, which related with those Grahas only. And some of them are from Rigveda mantras, and some of them from the Yajurveda mantras also we'll be learning. So this is the one which you are expecting in next few weeks of classes. These are the things you should expect. And we may add some new things also, but I will be talking on those later on. And if there are any other questions, I'm ready to take. I think my time is still, I do have a time.
You have time, Pundit. You can talk another 10 minutes easily.
Okay. So So in the Graha Shanti, especially not only Graha Shanti, any remedies we do, many people ask me a question, what should we do? The first thing when somebody is getting a remedy, they should live a sattvic lifestyle. That's what we recommend. Everybody knows this, but how many people are following, nobody knows. So just discipline is very important, and fasting is also very effective. Result can be given if at least one time fasting during the yajna time. And but some people say, okay, medically I may not be able to do that, so that's fine, you eat, but as much as simple living without any, like no alcohol, no meat, and sattvic lifestyle also important for the remedies. And during the course also, I recommend to, when this is all called Vedic knowledge. When you're learning a Vedic knowledge, uh, I strongly recommend, especially learning about mantras and these things, I recommend to learn with very dedicatedly and very sattvically. That means during the course also, if you can maintain, um, vegetarian food and no alcohol, no cigarette, and all this, it will helpful. And when during the class also, if you're wearing your shoes also, I recommend to remove those shoes. These are the small things which we don't pay much attention, but these small things can make big difference during the process of learning and doing the remedy also. And at the same time learning, because I always face south when I teach, because Dakshinamurti is a guru, and always students should, wherever you are in the webinar also, uh, I recommend to face north, because Dhyanamurti, the Dakshinamurti is also facing of the south. That is the way to, your brain can grasp pretty quickly when you face north and Guru faces south. So these are the things also, please keep in mind when you are coming to classes from next week onwards. Try to have a sattvic lifestyle and no shoes while the class going on, and especially mantra learning time. Try not to pronounce wrong, not to pronounce wrong. And if you have a question, of course, you can call, and of course, you will be receiving a recording also in this talk. Um, but pronunciation is very, very important in the Sanskrit mantras. So that is the reason. And you don't need to learn big mantras, and small mantra also can be very effective. For example, bija mantra, uh, gum is the Ganesha bija. Just gum can do wonders in life. The gum bija mantra can do, if somebody can practice gum when they do that mantra itself, can create a lot of wonders in life, because that gum, when you're pronouncing, the energy is invoking from the Muladhara chakra, root chakra. According to the Ganapati Adharva Sirsha, they says Muladhare sthitosi nityam. So the gum energy can create root chakra, and it clears all your root, and all the chakras can be cleared by that. So like that, small mantras can have more effective. Some, so don't think, oh, we cannot chant big mantras, so we don't know how to. But of course, you need to have a professional pundit's help to do the remedies. But at the same time, you also can do small remedies along with the professional help. So then you can multiply the result, what you are getting through the yajna or through the remedy. And of course, I will be speaking only on the remedy side, on the Vedic remedies. Not, I won't speaking on any other remedies. But of course, there are, I will be speaking on gem remedies and dana remedy and yagya remedy and chant and mantra remedy. But there are, a part of these remedies, there are many other remedies also there. There's a Lal Kitab remedies are there. There's some tantric remedies are there. So there are many different remedies are there. But I will be speaking strictly to the Vedic principles. But I'm not saying other remedies are wrong. All the remedies are good because every remedy has connected with the Vedic system only. So even any Lal Kitab you take, Tantra you take, everything is connected with the remedy with the Vedic system. So I will be touching those too, but I'm not going to be teaching those. But purely Vedic mantras and remedies and those small mantra, like a Bija mantra, I will be concentrating on the Bija mantras more. So because Bija mantras are pretty easy for you, for anybody to learn and for practice also. And as you know, you might already many people know, right now I'm doing a Dasha Mahavidya program right now. So this Dasha Mahavidya is also connected with the grahas. So we will be talking on that because this Dasha Mahavidya, each Mahavidya can control different grahas and graha energies. And the Dasha Mahavidya itself is the 10 different forms of the Divine Mother, like a Kali, Tara, Chinnamasta, Bhagalamukhi, Tripura Sundari, Tripura Bhairavi, Maha Tripura Sundari, like a Bhuvaneshwari, all these different forms of the goddesses I'll be talking during this course, and I'm sure it will be very, very interesting course. Um, because as you know, I believe when we teach we also learn some new things, because whatever we studied with our gurus long time back, when now it's time to teach to new people, so we look those mantras and those teachings to connect with the present world. So we will have a different um, now, you know, with our experience of many years of experience in this profession, we come up with new ideas and new remedies, because this Dashamahavidya program used to be done by very secretly it used to be done, not even publicly. Now since last 4 years I brought this program out, so it's making available for everyone, because most of the a lot of people does not even know there is a Dashamahavidya remedies can be done for our charts or for our lives, and what, because Dashamahavidya itself is a great subject itself. We can do a separate course on that, but I will be talking only Graha related Dashamahavidya and those, because since the whole remedy class is related with the Grahas only. Okay, so with that, I will stop for today's class thing, and if you have any questions, I'm ready to take.
Thank you, Panditji. We could also, questions can be typed into chat. I think we can unmute you, but sometimes with GoToWebinar, it's tricky. Gary, I had cut you off last time because did you want to share anything about what you're going to be covering in the course? You know, I just
yes, I apologize. I as I explained the first time I sat down, it was essentially a very I'm alone here today. My wife's away at a charity event, so I'm just sort of like manning the store alone. So when people come in, I have to get up and say, "Well, what do you want?" And not like that, but more in a more nice fashion. Okay, so basically what we're going to be covering is a variation, both what Andrew and Pundit were explaining. And Andrew, I have to congratulate you on your work. That book is really phenomenal. But we're going to be taking a less, I won't say a less elevated approach, maybe a more pragmatic approach in terms of the mantra classes. And as Barry said, I like to provide case studies so we can have an example of what happens. I think one of the things that I'd like to remind people of is when we're doing mantras, whether they be Lal Kitab or Tantric or Vedic, we don't want to forget the basic nature of the planets that we're asking for help from. Basically, I think it's actually interesting because the moon is in Anuradha today, I believe, and Anuradha is the nakshatra connected with getting assistance from others. So I think this is a good start. But getting back to the point of keeping in mind the nature of the planets. Essentially, most people, when they come from remedial measures, essentially they're coming to you out of either some kind of desperate place or some kind of basically they're usually fearing some ruination or some kind of disaster is about to occur, and that's really not the best frame of mind to start. So most often, the immediate impulse of an astrologer is to try to fix the problem. And as Andrew said, sometimes the problem is something you've forgotten about or something that you've ignored. And it's also important to keep in mind that when you're, and also to my point, the planets won't hurt you when you're doing mantras. That, essentially, there's a mandate to do no harm to someone who is worshiping you. But the planets won't act any different than their basic nature is. So to expect Rahu to act like Jupiter is sort of naive. To expect Saturn to act like Venus is also not naive, it's wishful thinking. Saturn, if you chant mantras for Saturn, or if you do for appreciation for Saturn, Saturn's going to say, okay, I might make your work a little bit easier, but you're still going to work. Okay. Rahu will essentially provide some propitiation and say, okay, well, you want some recognition for what you're doing, or you want something, some possession, that's fine. I'll help you out with that. Maybe I'll give you some peace of mind, but you'll still be wanting more. And I think one of the things that you're looking at, especially with the malefics, is that they have a side tendency. I just like to share a couple of experiences I've had personally and that I've had through the years with people, and then I'll hand it back over to Barry. Essentially, I was around 1990 when I was a relatively green Vedic astrologer. I did a lot of mantras for Saturn and a lot of mantras for Mercury. I think I did double the prescribed number, more than double the prescribed number. And I was expecting basically life to get a lot easier and get a lot better. And they did from one perspective. I learned a lot more about Jyotish. I learned a lot more about, and I got new work opportunities. But I got work opportunities. It didn't make my life easier. It pushed it more in one particular direction. So I'm not saying this to frighten anybody who's coming to get propitiation, but just to understand the nature of what mantras do. By making certain planets stronger, you're bringing up certain elements in the chart, which may seem a little bit, you're fulfilling the karma of the planets. You're essentially bringing the planets more into line with what you would like their karma to be. And essentially they're not going to change their nature. So Saturn isn't all of a sudden going to be really, really super nice. It may give you more time to pay your bills, as Andrew would. It may give you more dedication and focus and concentration, but it's not going to stop being Saturn. So just bear that in mind as you're learning these mantras, and also keep in mind that the planets exist for a certain reason. We wouldn't exist in our current states in this current manifested incarnation without these different abilities of the planets. I can tell you one thing that was really startling to me. I did a Mars mantra because I was looking for a relationship partner. A very selfish reason, I know, but I got one. I also got property along with that. So Mars. So I got both. I got both the manifestation of Mars in terms of a suitable person in my life, but I also got property along with that. And you're saying, that's great. Well, with property, there comes a lot of work. So I wasn't expecting that. So I think that you have all these. It's difficult to fine tune the planets to be essentially, or to fine tune the chart to be exactly what you want your life to be. It's really sort of if you do have a certain desire, it's important to identify which particular planet connects with that desire, and also to realize that your chart may not be set up to fulfill that particular desire in this lifetime. I have a lot of Rahu influences in my chart, so I basically want to do everything. And Rahu sits in my 4th house, but the thing I want to do most of all is learn. You know, that's the thing that is usually my driving force in everything I do. And so sometimes that runs counter to having money. That runs counter to being recognized. That runs counter to essentially having a peaceful life at times. But that's fine. That's what this incarnation is for. This incarnation is not just to be static and go nowhere. This incarnation is intended to make some spiritual progress, to explore things you haven't explored in previous lifetimes. So again, malefics have a purpose. Malefics make us move. They energize us. Benefics can make us move, but they have a downside in that they can, if things are going too easy or too simply, they tend to get us stuck in one place. So the benefics, definitely appreciate the benefics in order to make life easier. And as a matter of fact, right now Venus is in Libra, as we know. So over the next 4 months, it's going to be a relatively nice time to increase financial security, to learn more, do more in relationships. But that's also going to call for sacrifice, because which planet is exalted in Libra? Saturn. So Venus in Libra essentially means you give more of yourself in your relationships. So essentially we'll be covering what the planetary mantras will do, appropriate mantras for events. So there are some mantras, as Yantra referred to earlier and Pundit referred to earlier, that are appropriate for Mahadashas, that is for the fixed karma in the chart. There are some certain mantras that are appropriate to transits. We just went through some hellacious transits over the past few months, and we're still embroiled in some of them, but they've loosened up a little bit. And I think to a certain extent, you can ask for the planets for help through mantra, but there's always an element, as Punditji indicated, of sacrifice, even if they be small sacrifices. That is, you have to be willing to meet the planet halfway. You have to be willing to dedicate yourself to it. You have to be willing to be conscious of it. The other part, and we'll also talk about some larger non-planetary mantras, which tend to correspond with certain planets, such as the Mahalakshmi Stotra. So essentially, that's been a very effective mantra for material issues for most people. But it's a very long, very tedious mantra. And sometimes you can get that done by a priest for you. Sometimes you can have somebody chant it for you, but it's a very long mantra. We'll also talk a little bit about and of course the Vishnu Sahasranam, which is a very effective mantra for health. But basically, and believe me, I'm not an expert on that. There's also a Shiva Sahasranam as well. And believe me, I'm not an expert on any of those mantras. I would just give you essentially some guidance on them. The other thing that I'm planning to talk about will be small rituals. Just an extension of what we were discussing in the first class. And finally, and also as Pundit averted, yagyas at essentially identifying, as Andrew was talking about, identifying taking time to identify the correct planet to propitiate, because sometimes you'll be saying to yourself, oh God, I'm in this horrible Venus Mahadasha. Nothing is going right. Venus must be really messed up, and I'm going to have to do mantras for Venus. And if you do a mantra for Venus, it may improve your situation, but it may not be that that's causing your problem at all. It may be an adverse transit from Mars and Ketu. I've seen over the past 6 months, I have seen more divorces, more separations than I have ever seen in my entire close to 30-year career as an astrologer. It's been fascinating and a little bit frightening to watch. And a lot of it is really from Mars, is really being caused by the Mars-Ketu conjunction. It's being caused by things because Mars and Ketu both have extremely important functions in marriage, which is underplayed by many astrologers, because Mars essentially gives essentially the combined earnings or the property connected with marriage, and Ketu represents the things that you don't understand, and many relationship partners don't understand each other at all. So essentially what happens is there's a certain break or breach. So essentially there are different ways of viewing the chart, as most of you know, that you can look at it and say, okay, well, this is causing the problem, or this is causing the problem, and identifying which planet causes the problem is really important. The other thing we're going to get into just a bit is yantras, and these can be from very simple yantras. Essentially they're very small symbol yantras, like there's a flag for Ketu, and there's a bow and arrow for Mercury, or for Moon. But there are also, and there's a 6-pointed star for Venus, but there are also more elaborate yantras, which people like Harish Johari who have put together in their books. Now, constructing these yantras is a discipline all in and of itself. So I'm not suggesting that people go out and try to construct these yantras by themselves without expert instruction. But meditating on the yantras, meditating on the essence of it, like I said, putting essentially a full attention on these things, can be very helpful for certain planetary problems. My favorite story, and I think I shared it with you during the first class, is when you go for pujas or for remedies. Again, like I said, this goes back to the nature of the planets and what their function is in your chart. I had a very good friend who had a few psychological issues, to be honest with you, and he wanted to get into movies. That was his big ambition. And he actually did make it into movies. He had like a little bit part in True Lies, an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. But he didn't go much beyond that. And he was saying, well, hey, if I go up to the temple, the Hindu temple, we have a Hindu temple nearby, about an hour and a half away from where I live. If I go up to the Hindu temple and do a prayer for Lakshmi, will that help me? And I said, well, it certainly can't hurt you, because his Venus was really in bad shape in his chart. So his idea was that Lakshmi, because Venus is associated with glamour and stars and stuff like that, it's really not. But we'll discuss that later. It's connected with bliss, which is a slightly different concept. But basically, he thought by doing a yaga or a ritual for Venus, he would get some kind of advancement in the theater or in movies, and that wasn't what happened for him. He actually got prescribed a new medication the next day from a psychiatrist, which helped him balance out a lot more. So sometimes these things will manifest in very unusual ways. They'll manifest in giving you what you need at a specific time. So when you do mantras, you can ask for the planets to do certain things, but the manifestation is going to differ from chart to chart. So I'm not going to be an Olympic athlete at any point in my life, to be honest with you, just because my chart isn't built like that. That's not what my chart could ever represent. Could I be an astrologer? Yeah, my chart indicates I have a certain amount of smarts and a certain amount of skill, and I can figure things out. Could I be a movie star? Probably not. My chart's really not that aimed towards that. So I think that expectations, when you go into the mantras, I'm not trying to lessen expectations, but the mantras can also, as Andrew said, help you see things in your chart and help you use your chart patterns more efficaciously. And essentially, the main point of this is to get advanced spiritually and also to be happy. So if you can find happiness through the mantras, that's one thing that'll help you out as well. You can find a certain amount of contentment. I hope that helps a little bit. I don't want to downplay expectations. The mantras will do, and the remedial measures will do a great deal for you. Okay, so it's not like I'm saying, oh, geez, you can't have that Hollywood. If it's in your chart that you have potential to go into that particular field, that's going to manifest. This might help push you over the edge, but at the same time, you don't expect the planets to start acting differently than they would normally act. So if you propitiate Rahu may take it a little bit easier on you, give you a little bit more peace of mind. Saturn may give you a little bit less anxiety, a little bit less working for nothing feeling. If your sun strengthened, as Swami said, can increase your physical health. Is it going to make you a superhero? No, probably not. But it'll certainly increase your physical health. All right, so I don't know if I've overstayed my welcome, Barry, or if that helps a little bit.
Thank you, Gary. I just wanted people to meet you a little bit. Gary's an amazing teacher, and we're really blessed to have him during, for this course. So I just want to wrap up with a couple thoughts. One theme that came up, which was in the article that I published the other day, which is called "Honoring the Practice." And I think I was really happy that Andrew and Punditji both brought this up. I mean, the essence of remedial energies is on the feeling level. Do we feel? I got this great insight from my guru and also from Linda Johnson in her book A Thousand Suns. If you do your practices thinking that you're inviting the deity or the god into your home as a welcome guest that you're serving your favorite foods to, and just feeling this incredible respect and gratitude, and deep love for that person, like you would do it with an honored guest, then the magic happens. And you meet people all the time that go, oh, I've got to do my japa, okay, it's how boring. Obviously, nothing's going to happen from it. So my guru taught me Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra says, in chapter 2 talks about with honor and it's actually in chapter 1, he talks about with honor and respect. And it's kind of when we start our meditation, our spiritual practices with that wonderful feeling in our heart and gratitude for the gifts that we've been given from our guru, or from the gifts from from these deities and things like that, then the magic happens. And so that's really kind of the essence, I think, of getting success out of spiritual practice. For those of you who are interested in this class, it will be starting on Saturdays. Be running Saturdays, October 20th through January 12th. We will be starting at around 4:30, and it's partly because Punditji often has priestly duties in the morning, and so to really get him, to get him to have lunch and to get him ready, we need to start a little bit later. And then every week we'll be teaching you some set of mantras, and I'm sure we'll get Punditji to do good transliterations from the Sanskrit, and he'll record the mantras for you so that you can practice them. And Gary every week will help us kind of with case studies and how to use, how to prescribe these mantras. And he's got a whole, if you read the syllabus, which I did send out, and I will send it out again. It's this very, very deep. I don't think, it's very great. It's very rare that we get all these great people coming together. Andrew's just one of the most amazing jyotishis that I know, and Punditji, just has incredible depth. Pundit studied 12 years, and stuff like that. And so we're really, and Gary is just one of the best astrologers I know. So we really. It's really great to get all these people together. I'll throw in a few things in this course later on gem prescriptions and non-traditional remedies. But I invite you all to sign up for the course. We will send you a copy of the recording if you want to re-listen to it. And we'll send you some links if you want to sign up for the course. If anybody have any questions, I think you can type them into chat. GoToWebinar sometimes isn't really good about helping us unmute people unless I change the settings, and I've got to do that. But if you type questions into chat, I will take a few final questions here.
There
Yeah.
are a few questions, so.
Go ahead. Thank you, Jamie. Go ahead.
Angus, I've unmuted you if you'd like to ask yours. I believe you had a question about the deities and the planets.
Well, I just am curious to get more information about the relationship between the deities and the planets. And I mean, that's a pretty extensive question, I guess, but it's just, I would like to know more about the relationship.
Can I answer this question?
Go ahead.
Can I answer this question?
Yeah, it was actually
Yes, this definitely we will be talking about the deities related with the planets also in this, as when I mentioned Dashamahavidyas related with the planets, and that is what I am thinking of talking about. Not only Dashamahavidya, there are different deities, different devatas connects with the grahas. So always not in normal planetary position when we do the any remedies for the planets. Also, always we do graha and adhidevata and pratyadhidevata. These are the normal procedure. But beyond that, also there are deities related with those grahas. We will be learning in this course.
Thank you, Punditji.
And Catherine just wanted to say that it was a great presentation, and she thanked everyone.
Thank you, Catherine.
I think that's pretty much it, unless anyone else has any questions.
Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing many of you. We have some people. Some of you have signed up already. And some of you, this, inevitably we need a first class, which when you go to college, you have this first class that kind of gives an overview of what's going to happen, and you kind of have to have it. And so, but I actually got a lot of beautiful knowledge from everybody today, and I picked up a lot of gems, and I know this can be a very blessed course. So we look forward to seeing you all. Thank you, Jamie, for helping with organization. Jamie's our course organizer, and we'll be giving people who sign up for the course contact information so that if they have problems with videotapes and PowerPoints and stuff like that, she can handle that for you. And we'll look forward to seeing you in 3 or 4 weeks, and look for some stuff by email. Everybody, thank you, Gary, thank you, Punditji, and thank you, Andrew, and blessings to everybody today. Have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.